I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another review. This is for Brock. Thank you so much for your PayPal request. If anyone ever wants to send in a request via PayPal, my PayPal link will be down below in the info box. Or if you're ever interested in joining my Patreon, which has different tiers, and depending which one you get, you request a Patreon or so forth. That's down in the info box below. So again, either my Patreon, or if you want to request via PayPal, links to them are down below. If not, no worries. But the request for today is a 1987 film called Body Slam, which I had heard of, but I had never seen until now. And it stars Dirk Benedict, who I remember from the TV show The A-Team. He was also on the original Battlestar Galactica TV show, but I remember him more as the Face Man, from The A-Team. And this is one of the few films he got the star in, especially in the heyday of that, how popular the A-Team was becoming as a show. Now, this was directed by Hal Needham, and I think it was the last movie he directed. Sad to say, Hal Needham, this is a guy who has directed countless movies. He directed many films with Burt Reynolds, like Smokey and the Bandit, which I enjoy, Hooper, which is my favorite Burt Reynolds film. He also did films like Megaforce. I think he did the Cannibal Run films, which I enjoy. This one, well, the gist of the story, Dirk Benedict is a music manager, but he's not doing well. He's not getting many clients. The one client he has is a band called The Ticks, which is one of the lamest fucking band names you could have. The Ticks. Tick your ass out of here. I mean, so one day he mistakes a guy who he thinks is a singer, mainly because of the conversation being about the crowds, and I did 15,000 in one night for the crowds, and 50,000 people out there cheering. So of course he thinks it's about music, but come to find out it's Roddy Piper. I forget the name of the character he plays here, but it's Roddy Piper. And Dirk Benedict mistakenly gets into the wrestling business and becomes a wrestling manager. More so a tag team, manager of a tag team, which is Roddy Piper and this other guy, Tonga Tom, but in real life he was known as the Tonga Kid. Pretty much him trying to manage these two guys. There's this tag team. The villainous manager is Captain Lou Albano. Captain Lou Albano, been a lot of stuff. He had worked with Cyndi Lauper. That was the big hit to the rock and wrestling connection, which is really what sparked WrestleMania 1. There's a lot of advertisement on MTV, which, I mean, all that stuff I'm talking about with the Cyndi Lauper and the MTV is more interesting than the story to this movie, because at the end of the day, I didn't think this was that good of a film, sad to say. I don't know if I'm angry enough to rant about it, but it was a disappointing film. It was a disappointing flick. I like Dirk Benedict. in a way, he's kind of playing the face man as if he was doing one of his scams in a way, but even then, I think it's more the writing, just not up to snuff, because I didn't really get much laughs out of this. The types of humor where this Asian guy pops in early on who is mad at Dirk Benedict's character, Mr. Kim. And as soon as he pops in, we hear a fucking gone, like, gone. I'm like, oh, because he's Asian. And the actor I recognize is John Fujioka. He was the master in American Ninja. He was also in Steel Dawn, which I reviewed, which is a pretty decent Patrick Swayze film. And he has these wrestlers like tip over his car, or at least ready to do that. John Astin makes a quick appearance. I don't even think he comes back. He's like a guy who runs a car lot. I'm like, oh, there's John Astin, Gomez from the Addams Family show. Oh, now he's not in the movie anymore. And Dirk Benedict, like, he's supposed to be finding these musical acts for this fundraiser for this politician he doesn't like, but then again he mistakes Roddy Piper for a musician. And Roddy Piper, he would get better as an actor. I mean, very soon after this he did They Live, which is a great movie, and Roddy Piper is wonderful in that. But even before this, he was in Hell Comes to Frogtown, and I like him in Hell Comes to Frogtown. I mean, Roddy Piper does fine, but it's more the material he's given. Because I thought in Hell Comes to Frogtown and They Live, Roddy Piper had a bit more to chew on. Like, Hell Comes to Frogtown, he had a lot more fun to spiel with his character and what he was able to say and express. At least that's what it seemed like based on how energetic his character was in Hell Comes to Frogtown. They Live, I mean, that's fucking John Carpenter. He's in the hands of a good director, Roddy Piper. So here, he's doing the best that he can, and it's nice to see Roddy Piper. I miss the guy. I'm a big fan of Roddy Piper. It was really, really sucked when I heard he passed away quite a few years ago now, and I miss him. He was wonderful on the mic. Wrestling, mainly a brawler, as showcased here in the wrestling matches. He was just more of a brawler and kicking, maybe a scoop slam or such here and there. He was never like a big technical guy. But I mean, he had a good look, and was great talker, great on the mic, which they didn't really give that to its full potential. Like, Roddy Piper is to be so energetic. For some reason, they didn't tap into that as much as they could have. Because this one, Roddy Piper's more of a nice guy, and he's got a daughter, but I mean, Roddy Piper, I would still say he's one of the best parts of the movie. Even though, again, he's still finding his foot in acting, it was still great to see him. The wrestling matches, I don't know, they didn't really do much for me. I didn't really feel much entertainment for, I don't know what it is. I mean, obviously you have real wrestlers involved, but I don't know, maybe a scoop slam, maybe a drop kick or a suplex, some punches. Maybe because, of course, most of them, they can't be too long. Just the movie, it's only a certain running time. Maybe because as a match, of course, it has to constantly cut away to Dirk Benedict or the crowd or other stuff watching instead of centering on the match. Maybe because I don't know much about Tonda Kid. Part of me just wishes that it was just Roddy Piper and Dirk Benedict. The Tonda Kid brought nothing character-wise, brought nothing acting-wise, brought nothing personality-wise. I mean, I can't say anything about his wrestling talent because I never watched his matches, but part of me goes, I can see why I never fucking heard of the Tonda Kid. Again, I'm like, well, you have fucking Ric Flair who appears. Why wasn't he? Maybe because why wasn't he in the fucking movie? Because Ric Flair can talk. You have Ric Flair and Roddy Piper instead of Roddy Piper and the Tonda Kid. So I don't understand that choice. Or just have Roddy Piper by himself. And more of him interacting with Dirk Benedict. and maybe show like the craziness of the wrestling business, but at the same time, maybe Hal Needham was restricted because this was still when wrestling was kayfabe and people thought wrestling was still real and we gotta keep it secret. So it's about wrestling, but the wrestling is thought of as real sport. Not this kayfabe, I hate to use the word fake, but not faking the fact that they're still getting hurt and it's very dangerous, but the matches are predetermined. Here, that's not the case. It doesn't go into any of that because, again, kayfabe, it's still real to me, damn it. That type of matter. So, it's this weird bubble that it's in, where it's still in the realm of thinking wrestling's real. So it's like a real battle to get our tag team belts. Or get those guys tag team belts. And Dirk Benedict, he's kind of lost, where they try to have this romance with him and Tanya Roberts. I'm like, Tanya Roberts from like the Beastmaster? What? That really doesn't amount to much. I mean, there's stuff that happens, but just, I don't know, it just wasn't really that interesting to me. I don't know, maybe because at times Tanya Roberts felt like she was barely in the movie, and then when the few scenes there were, I didn't see any sparks fly or anything between the two of them. There's a point where Dirk Benedict goes on this wrestling talk show, and it's hosted by Charles Nelson Riley. You've seen him in a bunch of stuff. I remember him the most from the TV show The X-Files. He was in the Jose Chun episodes. He played the writer, Jose Chun's from Outer Space. And I know there's another one that was done when they did I think he came back a few more times. But he's the host of this wrestling talk show. Billy Barty? I'm like, is that the guy who was like Gwildor or whoever in Dolph Lundgren's Masters Universe? And it's funny, this is a PG film, but Billy Barty keeps using the word, I can't say the word, but it rhymes with maggot. Rhymes with maggot, and he says it a lot in this PG movie. I'm like, not today. Because that's what Billy Barty keeps calling Dirk Benedict. The name that rhymes with maggot. Or I should say the term. That was a bit like, wow, okay. Interesting. Well, not interesting is not the right word, but surprising. But I mean, they throw terms like that a lot. But usually in an R-rated film, not in a PG film. But again, times change. And the story isn't much. He has these two guys and things are going well, but then they get beaten up by the bad guys. I think one of them is, when he was in wrestling, he was known as the Barbarian. Was it the Barbarian or the Warlord? I can't remember now. But here he's part of a tag team managed by Captain Lou Albano, and they beat the shit out of Roddy Piper and Tonga Kid, and they win. And then Dirk Benedict, he's in women's clothes, and there's a reason why, which shenanigans. He just thrown off, and then he decides to quit, and Roddy Piper's like, hey, come on, you shouldn't quit. And so Dirk Benedict gets the idea of doing a road tour with his band, the band he manages, the Kicks, and then the wrestling, so it becomes the Rock and Wrestling Connection. I'm like, you know what? Then just do a story on the whole Cyndi Lauper, but again, this is meant as real kayfabe. So I think that was kind of the handcuffs they were saddled with. As well as No Holds Barred with Hulk Hogan. I mean, that one's definitely a more, I hate using the word cheesy, but No Holds Barred does fit that term. I get that you want to have kayfabe wrestling real, but that does really restrict you Because if you were actually going to the ins and outs of the business, as it truly is, you would get a lot more interesting stories, like The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke, which I reviewed. And I'm not saying this movie has to be that serious. This is a comedy, for crying out loud. But it's still, there's a lot more that could be milked out of that, and there's a lot left on the table. Like I said, the love story between Dirk Benedict and Tanya Roberts don't really work. I can't really think of any dialogue that made me laugh or chuckle. Did there even need to be this little love story between Dirk Benedict and Tanya Roberts? And pretty much it was also this little montage. Even the music didn't do anything for me. I love 80s songs. I love 80s soundtracks. Even the music in this, I don't know. I mean, you have great ones, great soundtracks like Rocky 4, Over the Top, Rad. And then this was like, So, I mean, truthfully, this should be Tyler's rant, but I don't know. I guess I'm just not in the energy to rant on it. Although, I guess technically I've been doing that. I mean, the ending, you had this tag team match. And the audience, Bruno Sammartino, Ric Flair, and even with these guys who are wrestlers, the matches don't really work. I'm like, well, wait a minute. All these people just bumble fucking around. I'm like, come on, ref, one fucking little man. And, you know, some fucking tags in this bitch. Even me, a noob, knows that. And these are actual wrestlers. They should know better. So it's just all these people just bumbling and fucking around, and it doesn't really create exciting matches. I mean, I hate to say it, but even the ending of No Holds Barred was more exciting of a, well, not really a wrestling match, more of a, just a fight than this. And even as a match, I mean, it's not that exciting, it's not that entertaining, it's not that energetic, it's not that fun. And that kind of explains the movie itself. It's a novelty. You can maybe get some stuff out of the novelty of seeing, hey, the guy from the A-Team. And by my friend Effrey, I don't know what he would think of this, because he likes Dirk Benedict like I do, and Roddy Piper, and I don't know what he would think of this. I don't know what other people would think of this. I believe this has a bit of a cult status. I know Dirk Benedict, he likes the film. He gave, it might have been a written interview, something about how he enjoyed working on the film, and he enjoyed working with Roddy Piper and the director, but the writers were also the producers, and they were also lawyers, and the writers were mad at Hal Needham changing stuff. And like Dirk Benedict at one point said, what the fuck? They like pushed one of them against the wall and said, he directed Smokey Benedict, get the fuck out of here. But then when the film tried to get a theatrical release, the writers slash producers slash lawyers were fucking with them, and it took such a pain in the ass long time that it just went straight to video. So Dirk Benedict was mad. He was upset that it didn't get a theatrical release. Honestly, if this got a theatrical release, I don't think anything would have changed. I'm sorry, Dirk Benedict. It's cool that you like the film. It's cool if anyone likes the film. It's not that funny. It's not that entertaining. Maybe some people enjoy it for the novelty, or maybe they find some so bad it's good, or they'll use the term cheesy, which I'm not a fan of the word in particular, because I think it's overused. Like, they use it to describe things they don't like. They use it to describe things they do like. They use it to describe... Like, it's an overused word. Oh, this is a great film, but I'm going to call it cheesy. Well, you liked it, but you're calling it cheesy, so, and that's kind of a put down. So it's like, are you embarrassed to say you liked it, but you used the word cheesy just as a substitute, just to give you an out for the cool kids? And if you use cheesy, that's fine. It's just, not my preference, but you could kind of use it for this, because I'm not a fan of the movie. I don't know, it didn't do anything for me. I'm glad I saw it once, because I miss Roddy Piper. I like Dirk Benedict. But I think just the script, The wrestling matches were not that exciting. Maybe Hal Needham was past his prime in directing. Again, I liked Cannonball Run 1 and 2. I liked... This just didn't seem like much of anything. I don't know. But either way, thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you in the next video. Later.